In the meantime, Vice President Kashim Shettima has expressed regret that democracy in Africa is experiencing setbacks, blaming it on complex issues and pressures which include past and contemporary challenges, like endemic poverty and insecurity in many countries of the continent. Shettima spoke at the National Conference on Strengthening Democracy in Nigeria, organized by African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development in Abuja. He was represented by his special advisor on political issues, Hakeem Baba-Ahmed. According to the vice president, Nigeria's position as the bastion of democracy in Africa is to respect the sovereignty of people and encourage a return to democracy because citizens in each country desires that return. And now, to help us put this into perspective, we're joined by Executive Director, Not Too Young to Lead Initiative, Elvis Akpobi. Elvis, once again, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us here this evening.
Hi, thank you for having me, and Happy New Year.
Great, thanks. It is indeed the first time we're seeing this here. So, Shettima mentioned the link between political instability and democratic failure. How would you assess the role of political parties and leadership in exacerbating or alleviating such instability?
Okay, for me, I'll go around that. I believe that for a democratic country like ours, if we must make progress, we must, build trust among ourselves. The electoral umpire, which is INEC, must build confidence in the masses. I've been privileged to, be an electoral observer in several countries, mostly African countries. The last, I was an observer in the last general election that took place in Liberia, and I saw how the masses, the electorate were so confident in the electoral umpire. But if you take statistics back in our country, you will see cases where electorate will tell you that they have already selected the winners of this election, despite oftentimes it might not be so. But with what happened in the last election, despite we already have winners and it's almost half of a term. The thing is, we must build trust among ourselves, one, and also strong institutions. We must make policies that support and back strong institutions. Because when policies are vetted with bias, when they are vetted with ethnicity, religion, and all that, would have vetted to protect a particular interest, you find out that we always have political instability. And I think that's what we are facing as Nigeria and even in some countries in Africa.
So how significant do you think external pressures such as foreign intervention and global economic dynamics, how can are they influencing the democratic process in African nations, and according to what Shettima said?
Yes, I agree. We have external pressure mostly from international communities and all that. But let's ask ourselves. Nigeria, Africa is blessed. For me, Africa is in a continent that is blessed with so much natural resources, natural and human resources. If we always look outward to the Western world, we take solace in the Western world in doing a lot of things. Until we start believing in ourselves as Africans, until we start developing our natural and human resources, not to, look outward to seek validations in other countries, we can't get it right. So we must, and that's why I must commend the incumbent, the newest one in President of America that has shrunk his immigration policies. Let everybody come back home and, put their country in shape. Because when we go to the Western world today, we all want to borrow a leaf from what they're doing. But I believe that it's people that make up systems, and it's systems that make up a working society. Nigeria is blessed with good people. If we can sit down, we already know our problems, and beg good policies, we'll have a working system, and we'll beg good policies, and we'll have a better Nigeria, and oftentimes a better Africa. Let me give you an example. In Rwanda today, Rwanda used to be a graveyard, courtesy of the genocide they faced, but today, Paul Kagame has been able, how he does it, I don't know, but he has been able to move that country from a third world country to be Africa's fastest tourist destination. Almost all the conferences in Africa if takes place in Rwanda, and that's to tell you that because they embrace change, it's not the Westerners that did that for them, it's Rwandans that did that for them. So for me, the problems of Nigeria will be solved by Nigerians in Nigeria.
Okay, that's an interesting way to put it. So in your view, how do issues of governance and also accountability play into the pressures mentioned by Shettima?
Yeah, accountability is key because with that, I think we should look forward to, our leadership recruitment process and to start putting the right people in the right places and to start playing these money-back policies and to start making sure people who are elected to make policies for us as a people are people with proven track record, people that are responsive, and people that have held one or two positions before now, and they were very, very accountable, never get it right. I am a privileged SSA to the governor of my state, Delta State. We are blessed with a youth President governor that is in sync with accountability. Oftentimes, most of the conversations we have is always geared towards accountability. And that's a governor that is raising a critical mass of young people in Delta State that will not only be responsive, that will be accountable for the positions they've given to them. And should everybody take a leaf from such government, I think Nigeria will be a better place.
So when you take a look at the economy and also the politics in most African countries, what do you foresee in the long-term future for democracy in the continents? Do you think that these trends or there are trends or reforms that could help counteract these pressures?
Yes. Fine. In the last few years, we saw cases where there were coups in some countries, mostly within the West African region. But I don't. There's an opinion that says those countries are very well. But for me, I still prefer democratic settings that we're practicing in Nigeria. But what I will advise is we should stop seeking validations outside, because if I don't have anything to take from you, you will have to, put pressure on me to want to take something or want to influence what's happening in my country. And for our economy, Nigeria, I read the news the other day where we are proposing 87 trillion for crude oil. I think it's time we diversify. We are blessed with other natural resources. So people must grow our economy. We must have a stable economy. One thing I believe is our greatest natural resources is in the potentials of the large population of young people. And it's time we started growing those potentials so that we can grow our economy and even Africa at large.
Okay, well, that's good. Thank you very much, Mr. Akpobi, and good to see you again for 2025.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
You're welcome.